Economics correspondent Paul Solman has been looking into cryptocurrencies for us, most recently trying to explain what they are and how to buy them. Tonight, he looks at whether the price of Bitcoin is a bubble. This story is part of his weekly series, Making Sense.
Back when Mexicali Burritos' David Zimmel first accepted Bitcoin a few years ago, it was worth, well, about the price of a burrito.
I think we had two sales.
Two sales?
So I think we ended up with about 9 Bitcoins, and we just kept on pushing. We wanted to turn it into real cash. We wanted to turn it into real cash, and we finally did. I wish we would have held on to it a little longer because it would have been worth a few $1,000s.
Make that 80,000 as I record, though by the time you see or hear this, who knows?
You're going to get 0.0016 Bitcoin.
I'd bought my first 16/10,000ths of Bitcoin that very morning for $20 when the price of a whole coin was $8,600. I wound up with a princely $13.82 worth after knavish transaction fees. If I wanted to use it here now to buy a burrito, yes, no?
No. We have no idea what to do with it, and I wouldn't have any idea how to exchange it or what it's worth.
No wonder. When Zimmel cashed in his Bitcoins, they were worth just a few bucks. Last December, the price hit nearly $20,000, plunged by 2/3, is now up again by half. So how can it be a currency if you never know its current value?
It is developing many of the qualities of currencies, but it isn't yet filling the basic role of a currency, which is to enable transactions.
Professor, author, and hedge fund manager Vikram Mancharamani.
You do need some more stability in the value of it before it gets truly adopted as a currency, not as an instrument of speculation. Today, it's de facto an instrument of speculation or a means through which to fund illicit activities off the grid. Bitcoins and sort of other cryptocurrencies live outside of the traditional banking network and in fact are intended to do so by design.
That's why the NewsHour wouldn't accept a Bitcoin donation in 2013, when stories abounded about its use on the so-called dark web to buy drugs, guns, and sex. But local restaurants like Veggie Galaxy in Cambridge that used to take Bitcoin don't anymore because the value fluctuates too much. Plus, it's too cumbersome for petty transactions.
Can I buy my lunch with Bitcoin?
I'm sorry, we used to, but not anymore. We actually had an ATM here, but we don't have it anymore, I'm sorry.
A Bitcoin ATM, that is. Nearby Thelonious Monkfish does still take Bitcoin, but because of transaction fees and the hassle, only if you spend $100 or more.
So I'd have to order a lunch that was more than $100 to use Bitcoin?
Right, to get the transaction go through.
Look, we even went to a Bitcoin dealer, the La Chic Boutique pawn shop in Somerville. For cash, you can pick up designer bags by the dozen, a pair of Shaquille O'Neal's hard-to-fill shoes, even this poppin' fresh pendant whose provenance can be traced to Boston mobster Whitey Bulger. But to do a Bitcoin deal...
You sign up an account, and then we can meet over there at Starbucks, and we can transfer money at that time.
Proprietor Dylan McDermott.
Well, why can't we do it here in the store?
Regulation at this point. We can only sell and charge a small fee, but buying, not at this point.
But we can do it outside, at the local bar or the local cafe here.
Yes, and we pay 90% as well.
Yes, only 90% of market value, plus a small transaction fee, and yet, despite all the hurdles to using it, Bitcoin and its underlying blockchain technology are seen as Fat City. Consider the recent rash of conversion experiences. In December, Long Island Iced Tea renamed itself Long Blockchain, and its stock price tripled.
Welcome to Hooters!
In January, a company with 9 Hooters franchises put its loyalty program, the Hooters Hoot Club, on a blockchain, and its stock price jumped 50%.
I'm no expert on Bitcoin.
Richard Thaler won this year's Nobel Prize in economics.
But it's very hard to know what its intrinsic value is. And it's very hard to know what its legitimate use is. It certainly looks like a bubble to me.
Vikram Mancharamani, who taught a course at Yale on bubbles, agrees.
Reminds me of the internet phenomenon, the internet bubble, where people would add the .com and their stock price would go flying up. Exactly comparable in my eyes.
But, you know, bubbles sometimes keep going up.
So is Bitcoin a bubble that's already bursting? plunging by 2/3 in just a few months, or a great investment that's up more than 100-fold in the last 5 years. Mansour Amani's book, Boom-Bustology, looks for bubbles through several lenses.
The first lens is microeconomics. Normally, when you have higher prices for a good, you should see less demand. When higher prices generate more demand, we have a bubbly dynamic that results in higher prices generating more demand, generating higher prices, etc.
In other words, instead of turning off buyers, the rising prices are attracting them, triggering another lens, buying an investment on credit.
Are people borrowing money to invest in something because they are so sure it's going to continue rising? And in fact, we've seen that recently. Lens 3, people want to believe.
The psychology of irrational exuberance.
They want to believe in a new story, a new era, a new dynamic. This is a common phenomenon. We saw this back in the 1920s with radios and cars. You saw it during the internet bubble where the internet was going to change everything. And in fact, you can see it today in this crypto domain where this is the new form of money, digital gold.
Mansour Amani's last lens is a question. Is the enthusiasm epidemic?
Think of a speculative mania as a fever spreading through a population. How many people are left to infect? Well, if everyone's infected, the disease has run its course. We're done.
But you don't know that, right?
No idea at all how much of the price is attributable to actual fundamental interest in a non-printable currency versus this is a party, it's rockin', I want to join it.
So is the party over or about to get its second wind? As with any investment, Mansour Amani doesn't know, and neither do you, or even as the well-seasoned economics correspondent for the PBS NewsHour, do I. This is Paul Salman reporting.